Good morning. This is Robert Goodman here on Positive Stroke, Staying Clean on YouTube. I'm so blessed to be here with you, sharing my strength and hopes about recovery with you. And all of y'all know that yesterday was my birthday. I turned 67 and I had a blessed day due to my wife. I didn't do nothing special because to me, I'd rather, just how you say, enjoy the day with my lovely wife and just kick it around the house. And she pampered me for my birthday, and I appreciate that. And I love each and every moment of that, which means a lot to me. And something big and out the way and spending a whole lot of money, but just the point of enjoying another year of in recovery, another year that I've shared with my wife that I've enjoyed. Yes, we've had our ups and downs like any other couple, but the point is we are together and we take one day at a time, chipping at any type of thing that gets in our way, our dreams and our hopes and our life. And how that came about is through the blessings of recovery. The blessings of recovery. See, recovery gave me so many blessings. Once I was in my active addiction, and by me going down a road I had known nothing about, I did not know where recovery was going to lead me. I didn't know that recovery was going to give me the life that I have today. Only thing that I was concerned about at that particular time was to stop using and to live a better life. And recovery made me focus on myself. Recovery told me that, Robert, if you don't keep the focus on yourself, understand yourself, why you've done the things you've done in your active addiction, why you abused and used cocaine to destroy your life, that you learned that what you was using, you was medicating yourself because you did not want to feel the pain of the trauma and the pain of your past. So you kept medicating yourself, but you kept living it rent-free in your head over and over again, creating more problems for yourself, but continually medicating yourself until what was you was medicating yourself with became your prison. And addiction flourished into your life and destroyed your life, which kept you stubborn in your active addiction for 40 years. And recovery taught me what my addiction did to me and why these things happened to me, and to understand myself and who I was at that particular time and how I was controlled by the disease of addiction. So as I move forward in my life, overcoming this major situation that destroyed my life, I learned a lot about myself and why I've done the things that I've done in my active addiction. But recovery taught me one simple rule. Robert, just do the next right thing. Keep it simple, stupid, just do the next right thing. And my life got better. Then I realized in my recovery that the more I work on myself to make myself better, the better my life becomes. Also, recovery taught me to pay attention to your surroundings and the things you do to others. That you want to be an example in recovery, that you're living your best life, that you show that recovery is working for you. And I didn't understand that, why I got to do all that. Because when I learned about myself and who I was in my active addiction, I did not like myself because of all the things I've done to myself and others. But by me helping others, I started to feel good about myself. I started to believe in the walk in recovery. I started working on myself more to overcome situations that I've created in my active addiction until they was non-existent. My life got better. Then I realized that life is always in session, that life is always going to throw you some curves, that life is always going to knock you down, but you got to be able to get up and move forward. Recovery taught me that I'm always going to run into roadblocks. So I have to chip at that mountain that is blocking me from getting to the other side. One day at a time, one situation at a time, one problem at a time. And I must understand that by me chipping at this mountain, it's going to take time. But I must be blessed that I've came all this way in my recovery and enjoying life on life's terms. I must stay focused on how many things I've overcome in my recovery, and I'm still standing tall in my recovery. How I've been blessed by recovery, by my actions, and how my actions has helped others be blessed in their recovery. It keeps me going forward. But also recovery says, Rob, you got to live life on life's terms. Meaning that there's going to be times when things is going to get rough. But you got to stand tall and keep walking in the same direction that you're walking. But I know sometimes situations happen in my life that they get overwhelming. That oh man, I don't know what I'm going to do. But what I've learned in living is just do the next right thing. Chip at that mountain, Robert. Chip at that mountain. Remember how you chipped at them other mountains in your life, in your recovery? How you overcame situations? How recovery got you to this point by working one day at a time, one situation at a time? Hasn't your life gotten better by the fruits of your labor of working on yourself? So why are you going to let this mountain that stands in your way to overwhelm you where you cannot move forward? It's just an obstacle that can be removed. Sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly, but it always materializes if we work for it. So I must work for it to get through. But I shouldn't feel overwhelmed by the situation. Why? Because I'm in the solution, not the problem. What happens is, if we get into the problem and we cry the blues about the problem, we don't see no solution. But in recovery, it tells us to look for the solution, not at the problem. And when we focus on that, we find our way to make it better in recovery. Our lives get better. We're not overwhelmed by the situation because we're looking for the solution to the problem. We're not feeling overwhelmed about how it came about, but we're looking at the solution to the problem. And I learned in my recovery that if I look at the solution, I'm not crying over the problem. I'm not crying over the problem. So here's the thing. As I turned 67 yesterday, I'm truly blessed that recovery has given me a life far beyond my dreams. I'm counting my blessings, but also I do have some mountains in front of me that I have to chip at to get through. But I'm truly blessed for where I came from and where I'm at today. That I can look back and say, Robert, you did the work on self to make yourself better. And now there are some obstacles in your way. But by me working on myself to make myself better, by me chipping at the problem, by doing it with a solution to the problem, I'm finding a way through the mountain, through the problem, through the situation. So I don't feel overwhelmed. I don't feel upset that something has gotten in the way to slow down my walk and where I'm headed. It's a part of life, ups and downs. But in order to handle the ups and downs of life, we must focus on the solution and not the problem. If we're pointing blame and not solving the problem does never get solved. You can blame the person that's supposed to do what they were supposed to do and they don't do it. But if you stay in that funk, the problem remains a problem and there's no solution in sight. But if you understand how the problem came about, understand it and accept that, now look for the solution to the problem that you have to do to overcome the situation. And you work on that. And then when you chip at that mountain and get through the problem, trust and believe me, you're not going to allow that situation ever to happen again because of the amount you had to do to get through that situation. But you're going to be at peace and happy that you've done the work to get through the situation, to overcome the problem by finding a solution to the problem. But you're not going to put yourself in that position to fall victim to that problem again because you did the work for the solution, and the amount of time it took you to get through that solution, you're not going to want to go through that situation again. Because you know how hard it took you to get through that situation. You know how much work you had to do to get through that situation. And what gives you the strength to deal with the situation is the blessings of recovery. When you look back at all the things you overcame to this point in your life, you should be happy and proud of yourself that you had the power, the gumption, and the will to overcome these things to get to this point in your life. That you just didn't let one situation stop you from growing and becoming the best that you can be and live your best life. Because you're on a mission to live your best life, to live your life in recovery, to reap the blessings of recovery, to share your strength and hope with others to help them find their way in their recovery. All you can do is be an example to others. And when you understand that, you'll keep the focus on yourself so you make less mistakes and have less problems in your life. Because it's up to each individual to work on themselves so they can live their best lives. I don't know what anybody else wants for them to live their best lives. They know. So they have to work on themselves to find their way so they can live their best lives. Just like I have to work on myself so I can find my way to live my best life. and what's good for me. I have to find out what's good for me and what's not good for me. That means I must pay attention to myself. But what keeps me motivated is the blessings of my recovery, the blessings that I received all the way up to this point in my life, all the things I've overcame to get to this point in my life, which gives me the strength, the power to move forward to find a solution to the problem that I'm facing. So, I hope what I share today is that the blessings of recovery gives you the power, the strength to overcome your situation that you're facing today, that you'll chip at that mountain. And remember, sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly, but it always materializes if we work for it. This is Robert Goodman from Positive Stroke, wishing you a great and wonderful day. And remember this, you are the most important person to yourself. If you keep the focus on yourself and work on yourself to make yourself better. Remember this also, dope made me a dope, but now I got hope because I'm not a dope anymore because I am clean and I am sober. You share that. Say that in the morning because you did the work on self to make your life better. You chose recovery to move forward in your life. And I'm proud to be a part of your recovery. I'm proud that you are a part of my recovery. And you have a great and wonderful day.